I'll call this meeting to order, and the first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Ben, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first order of business is to the administration of the oath. Joel, and will all the board members stand and take an oath?
No, all of us? Or just anyone?
Not all of us? We're not sworn in?
Yeah, well, I swore you guys in last time, so I guess it's just the three.
Just the three, and go very slowly.
I will. I'm going to chop this up. Everybody experienced it last time. I state your name. Do solemnly affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of the Board of Directors of the Fort Worth Transportation Authority, doing business as Trinity Metro.
Fort Worth Transportation Authority, doing business as Trinity Metro.
Of the state of Texas.
Of the state of Texas.
And will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and the laws of the United States.
Constitution and the laws of the United States.
And of this state.
And of this state.
So help me God.
So help me God.
There you go.
Hey, Joel. So if you don't mind, I'd just like to start out and beginning with Paul. If you just kind of say a few things if you want to about your background, why you're here. Just love to get to know you a little better as would everybody else.
Thank you. I'm excellent about responding when somebody puts me on the spot.
I put you on the spot.
Professionally, my background, I work for a company that provides operations and maintenance services to baggage handling systems and passenger boarding bridges at airports across the country. So a lot of synergies there with my professional experience and also with what you guys are doing here, all the great work that you've been doing. Personally, I live in the city of Keller, and I've been serving on the Planning and Zoning Commission for the city of Keller for the past 6 years, and I've been chair of that commission for the past 2 years. Love working with a lot of our local elected leaders, and just really excited to be able to serve in this capacity for Tarrant County. So thank you guys for having me.
Thank you, Paul.
Hopefully I don't get legal upset with me throughout the day, so thank you.
Welcome. Thank you so much. Mayor?
I'm Jack McCarty. I'm the mayor of North Richland Hills. And 10 years before that, or 14 years before that, I was on the school board of Burtville. And being the president, the COVID year, I figured I didn't want to do that anymore. It was so much fun. But I was born and raised here. Actually, my parents and my grandparents were all born and raised in Fort Worth. So, so I've been here a long time. I'm retired from United Healthcare, where I had a long tenure. And if you're thinking, yes, the gentleman that was shot up in New York was a friend of mine, which was unfortunate because he was a great guy. But I am very excited about doing this as well, since we have 2 stops in North Richland Hills. So we have quite the vested interest, and everyone in our city always asks me what we're doing them. So I thought I better sit in here and figure it out because I can't throw stones from outside. So there you go.
There you go. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. Welcome. And
Will Churchill with the Frank Kent family of businesses. I've spent a lot of time on the private sector and never really served in the public sector. So looking forward to working with the Trinity Metro team and seeing what assistance I can bring to everyone. And just honored that you guys would have us and excited to be here.
Thank you, Will. There's a lot of professionalism in their backgrounds. I think, for example, Paul, get to know Wayne, because logistically, I think you're going to talk the same language. And Greg, yes, you have a CPA here that you can communicate with, and everything real estate is what Will does and does best. So I think we've got some great expertise to rely on, and it's a great addition to this board. So welcome to you all. And you'll find we're very informal. Call anybody on their cells. We're pretty accessible. We're pretty transparent, so don't be bashful about asking questions just at any time. So welcome again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Citizen comments. Do we have any cards?
No, sir.
That portion of The meeting is then closed. We have an employee recognition. I'd like for Michael Crane to recognize a very special employee.
Sure. Freddie Buckley, where are you? Come on up. Come on up.
Come on.
Come up here. I'm going to read this, and then I'll ask the board. We'll turn and take a picture. You don't have to come all the way up. I mean, I just want to make you feel uncomfortable and stand there for a second. Is it working? Okay. Well, Freddie Buckley, I have a special recognition here from Mayor Parker because of your 50 years of service. So I'll just read this out so it's on the record here. This special recognition from the City of Fort Worth is presented to Freddie Buckley in recognition of a 50-year legacy of service to Trinity Metro and the Fort Worth community. Whereas Freddie Buckley, a dedicated public servant, was born in Waxahachie, Texas in 1952 and raised in Alvarado, Texas, where he built the foundation for a lifetime of service. This is like 6-point font. Let me put these on here. Whereas Freddie answered the call to serve by enlisting in the United States Marine Corps Urawa Reserve in 1972, demonstrating the discipline and leadership that would define his career. And whereas beginning his career in public transit in 1975 as a bus operator with Citran Bus Company, which was later Trinity Metro, Freddie has served with distinction for 50 years, rising through the ranks to his current role as training supervisor for fixed route services. And whereas Freddie's dedication has shaped Trinity Metro's culture of excellence, mentoring transit professionals and ensuring safe, efficient public transportation in Fort Worth. And whereas beyond his transit career, Freddie has devoted himself to public service, joining the Grandview Volunteer Fire Department, attending EMT and Police Academy training, and serving in the Johnson County Sheriff's Office Reserves since 1985. And whereas Freddie's volunteer efforts, including organizing transit logistics for major events, have made a lasting impression on the community, earning him widespread recognition and respect. And now, therefore, the City of Fort Worth, Texas proudly recognizes Freddie Buckley for his 50 years of outstanding service at Trinity Metro and his lifelong dedication to public service, leadership, and community impact. His legacy of commitment, leadership, and generosity will continue to inspire future generations. Presented this 18th day of 2025 by Maddie Parker, Mayor of Fort Worth, Texas. Congratulations.
All right, in 3, 2, 1. All right, one more. 3, 2, 1. Thanks, y'all. Thank you.
All right. Terrific, Freddie. Just a great recognition. I can't believe 50 years of doing anything. It's just wonderful. The next agenda item are the approval of the meeting minutes from January 21. Have you all had an opportunity to look at the minutes?
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Into the agenda, we'll have several information items and reports, starting with Reed. Reed, introduce yourself to the new members.
Good afternoon, board members. I'm Reed Lanham. I'm the Vice President of Rail here at Trinity Metro, and welcome to our new board members. If you would, please turn to pages 7 and 8 in your packets. We'll have a quick update on the January performance for both of our rail systems, TexRail and TRE. January was a good month for both systems, as we saw an increase in ridership both on TexRail and TRE. TexRail was up almost 14% year over year in ridership, and TRE was up 9% as well. We continue to be encouraged by the growth we're seeing on both of our systems. I mentioned last board meeting, the average on-time performance for commuter rail systems is anywhere between 90 and 92% in the nation. Both of our systems consistently operate above 97%, and over the past 2 years, that's been 98% or above. For last month, TexRail came in at 98.6% on time, and TRE came in with the on-time performance of 98%. Now, the way we measure that is if we reach our terminus station, which for TexRail would be the TNP station here in Fort Worth or Terminal B, within 4 minutes of 59 seconds of the scheduled time. So again, kudos to the operations team that we have, our contractors who we work very closely with. They do a great job operating the system, and our staff, we work hand in hand to ensure that we're providing a safe, reliable transportation service. And one more kudos on the safety front. Safety, you can imagine in commuter rail, is first and foremost in everything we do. And I just want to give a quick shout out on TexRail. Our maintenance of signal and transportation departments are now well over 2,500 days injury free. And that's a big deal with all the hazards that present themselves in day-to-day commuter rail operations. If you would please turn to page 11. I've got a quick update on our long-term parking. We like to give a quarterly update to you guys on the performance of our long-term parking program. That's something that on TexRail, when we first opened, we did not offer any long-term parking or overnight parking at the stations. And that was one of our biggest suggestions, if you will, from the public, was why we don't offer the overnight parking or long-term. About a couple of years ago, we implemented this along with ACE. They manage the system for us. And this here on the board right now is a year-over-year comparison of the first fiscal quarters of each year. So as you can see, we are experiencing good growth as well in our long-term parking program. It's been popular in attracting new riders. Our most popular stations are TNP and Smithfield. We just recently this year doubled the amount of parking spaces at TNP and Smithfield, and we've seen, again, a good usage of both stations. So with that, I'll take any questions or comments.
I will say this, without question, the Smithfield station, I mean, that was, it's obvious, we have many employees for American Airlines that live close to that location, I think solely because of that location, quite honestly. But it certainly, it was the first thing that was said to me, and I wasn't even on the mayor or anything back when it was brought up, and saying, why can't we park there to go to, if we're going to stay at if you want me to use the airport, I can't park there, so what am I, it's maybe you should drop me off. So it was, I'm sure it was a quick suggestion by many. No, good job on that too. I mean, we are filling that parking lot up.
I found it very useful at TNP as well.
Yeah.
It's a great additional service that we provide. Thank you, Mayor.
Mm-hmm. And one last thing I wanted to mention recently, trains are pretty cool, in my opinion. So a lot of folks think that from early on, and I've continued to think that throughout my career. We had an opportunity, some days at work are harder than others, and some days are better than others. We recently had one of those great days. We had a young man with the Make-A-Wish program who one of his wishes was to experience a day in the life on TexRail. And so I want a special shout out to Deetra Whitmore and her group, and then our rail staff and our contractors. We recently took Nathan Torres out for a conductor for a day. We gave him a conductor hat, a name tag, and he got to ride the system with us. We took him back to the yard and showed him behind the curtains what it takes to maintain and operate trains. Nathan asked probably, and I'm not kidding, 184 questions. That seems like a very specific number, but I started to count after a while. But it was great. He really enjoyed his trip, and we really loved giving it to him and seeing the smile on his face the whole time. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, and I'll end it with, trains are pretty cool.
Romance is still in the train. Thank you, Reed. Any questions?
I have one question. Do we need to do the... Is there any concern over a recent trade on your ridership numbers on TRE? Are we concerned that we're going to lose some ridership on TRE?
Look at Don Chick moment.
Honestly, the game trains have been huge for TRE. And you can't see a correlation in the amount of ridership to the records of both the Stars and the Mavericks. So far, we've not seen a dip in the game numbers, but there hasn't been that many Mavericks games since one of the worst trades in professional sports history.
How do you feel about it?
So that's my opinion. But we will monitor that closely, Isaac.
Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac. Thank you, Rick. Wayne?
Good afternoon, Chairman and board members, and especially to the new board members. My name is Wayne Gensler. I am Chief Operations Officer. Just to get this out of the way, I had a little incident at home and by myself. I got myself to the hospital, got the stitches, and I'm back fighting again. So we got that out of the way. I can go on and give you our report. I'll figure out how to work this. Hopefully we can do that right. All right, if you turn to page 15, and as much as Reed loves trains, and I love trains too, Reed, but I also love buses. So backbone of any system is the bus system. So at the end of the day, the first thing you see on the KPI or key performance indicators is the miles between roll call. That's about reliability. You can see we beat the goal. The goal was 9,000. We did 9.4 thousand miles between road calls. You might say, shouldn't it be a little bit higher? And I'll tell you, yes, I would like it to be higher, but our fleet is aging. We don't have any newer buses coming into the system until 2026. But once we get that, you'll see that jump up a little bit as we move forward. But we're aging the fleet, so we're being responsible with the fleet, but our maintenance team is doing an excellent job. Preventable collisions, the goal is 1.25. We were at 1.85. That represents 9 collisions or of some sort. It's all collisions, so whether they're preventable or non-preventable. The one below that, the safety events in the world of FTA or the Transit Authority or Transit Administration, they'll tell you we have to report those separately out, which we do. And that goal is 0.40, and we were at 0.21. So that means we didn't have that many major collisions, that the numbers above were really minor ones, such as mirror strikes on a bus stop sign or something like that, where we have to report it, but it's not major. So doing a great job with regards to the major collisions and the safety events. Just so the new members understand what constitutes a major injury or a major collision is an injury, a vehicle is towed, there's damage over 25,000, or there's a fatality. So excellent job there. With regards to bus on-time performance, that's, again, reliability. We came in at 88.7% this year, this month, and looks like we're headed for a good year. And for those that are new, last year we were measuring that performance at 8 minutes past the stop time at the time point. This year we're at 7 minutes, so we made it a little more tougher for our operators to get there on time, but they're performing well. And last but not least, we had a 5% increase year over year in ridership. We were at 357,000 rides versus 341 last year. So doing well there also. Turning to the next page, page 16 in your packet, you'll see for paratransit is a service that is really one of the most difficult services to operate in any transit agency, but it's a requirement for our disability community, and we love providing great service. We've done a new thing, which you're going to see here in a little bit, with regards to our paratransit operations, because we want to make it better, more user-friendly for our customers. And we want everybody to have that same feel when it comes to booking a trip, and that's what we'll go through, but I wanted to share some numbers with you. With regards to miles between road calls, you can see that they went 42,000 miles between road calls. Again, I'll go back to the new vehicles. We put new vehicles into the system this year. That's what's reflected right there. So the correlation fits. It shows right there in the numbers. Preventable collisions. They were over the goal at 1.17, so lower is always better. Oh, and sorry, they were slightly better, 1.17. The goal is 1.25, But the 1.17 is driven by one collision. So we don't go as many miles in a paratransit operation as you do in a fixed route operation, but one collision will get you over the one. We really would like to be lower than that, but in the end, that's where they came out. You can see from the safety events, the major events, there was none reported, so we're doing well there. For our in-house service, we were at 96.5% on time. That's what that red dot in January represents. And then for paratransit ridership on the in-house service, there was 9,000 rides. Just so everybody knows, there's an in-house version of a paratransit operation, and there's a contracted services. I'm going to go to the contracted services next. The contracted services provide 65% of the ridership, where we in-house provide the balance, or 35%. So going to the next page, page 17, it's the statistics for the paratransit on demand. We switched over to a new vendor in October. And with a new software platform, which I'll discuss a little bit further in the next presentation. But again, they're doing wonderful considering we just transitioned, really. And I'm really proud of what's going on in the operation. More to work on, but they're really performing quite well for a new transition. If you look at miles between road calls, their goal is 45,000. They performed at 20,000, so we gave them a really strong goal because they had new vans. They do operate vans. So when I say vans, I'm just talking like your normal minivan that you would see on the street. They're outfitted for opportunities for people in wheelchairs to get in those vans as well. Preventable collisions, they had 3 collisions. That represents that 1.06 number. They didn't meet their goal, but again, low mileage drives that number up fairly quickly. And then from a safety standpoint, they had 1 preventable and 1 non-preventable. So a non-preventable collision in the safety events, and that's the major ones where a vehicle's towed or somebody was taken to the doctors or something like that happened. In this case, they were minor, but yet there was someone taken to the hospital. So when that happens, you have to report it as a major. Nothing major with regards to the injury. The non-preventable collision is one that someone hit us. The preventable, we hit somebody, and that was just really the damage to their vehicle and the damage to the customer's vehicle that was just sitting there in the parking lot. So at the end of the day, that's their expense. It is a turnkey operation, so that's part of their service to Trinity Metro. Don't want any collisions, of course, but when they do, in this case, it will be at their expense. Any questions on the KPIs? If seeing none, I'm going to turn to page 19 of the presentation. It's the paratransit app rollout, which we did in February. This is very exciting. So when I talked to you earlier, a few minutes ago, and just said we're trying to make it a better experience for our paratransit customers and customers that may have a disability or seniors that utilize the service, that were certified to use the service, this is just a great opportunity for them to be like everybody else in the world. They can get their app, which is you're going to see on the next page. There you go. Thanks. The next page, the app. It's just like an Uber app in many instances. So far, we started this February 1st. We've had 379 downloads, and 158 requests have been made on the app already. What is so good about that is we're doing a soft launch. We're not doing a full blown out launch. We're doing a soft launch with our customer base. And I'm very excited because in the long run, this should help us in many ways. Not only give better customer service to our customers, but also provide an opportunity to help Dieter and her team when it comes to taking calls. Because generally today, if without this app, they're calling our customer care support and making calls and canceling trips and checking on their trips and seeing where the bus is, doing all those things that now can be done with this app. And that's what's so excited about it. So if you look at the first one, they could pick between microtransit or paratransit trip. They could schedule their trip, where they're departing from and where they're going to. They can then book that trip, and then they could go online and look at, you can see the calendar. They could look at all their trips online on their phone and know exactly what they got coming up, what they schedule, what they might want to cancel. All that without calling customer care. And that's the exciting part of this. We're going to make it seamless for them to book their trips, take their ride, and do everything that they want to do. Next page, please. So what can they do? In advance, they could book singular paratransit trips or microtransit trips. There's a difference between the two. Paratransit you're certified for. Microtransit is an on-demand, straight-out on-demand service, whereas I can go outside if I was in a zone, try to get my trip, and they'll tell you your trip's 12 minutes away, and next thing you know, just like Uber, a vehicle will show up, you get in, you'll know it's in a branded vehicle, you'll know the operator will know you because you could see it all on the app, and you can view all your pre-scheduled paratransit trips, or you could cancel any of your paratransit trips. What can you do the day of service? When you get your app, and they're going to give you a call first off the night before, tell you got a trip tomorrow. The day of the trip, within 30 minutes of you having your ride, it's going to call you or text you based on how you set it up, saying your ride's on its way. And then when it gets there, you'll be able to track it coming to you. While you're in the vehicle and taking your trip, you can watch your driver drive on your app if you feel like it to make sure that person's going in the right direction. Very exciting stuff. I am just so excited. I hope I could take 10,000 calls a day off of the customer care line. And that's really our ultimate goal. Next slide, please. Here was the rollout that we did up to and including current. We did internal trainings. You could see all that. I don't need to read through all that for you. I provided you with some handouts. It's at your desk. If you want, you could take a look at them, read them. You could see what we handed out and what we're giving out online. And it'll be in Spanish as well, just so you know. It's an English version, Spanish version. And again, exciting stuff. And then we got external training. So we're going to the centers this whole month, and we're training people at the centers where people go get dialysis or whatever. So training it everywhere we can. Anytime calls us out and says, hey, we need you to come, we're going to come out there, we're going to train them, we'll make sure they understand how to use the app. And our goal is to get, boy, it'd be nice to get 50% of our customers just using the app. And that would be a tremendous help for everybody. Again, that's just more stats on what we did and how many people we trained internally. So you can go to the next page. And here's what we're going to do with the caregiver trainings. And the caregivers are people that help people with disabilities, and or they go to a center, and the center has caregivers as well. That's our plan. We have sessions planned between 2/4 and 2/28. We have additional sessions that will be planned as well. We're offering in-person and virtual sessions. We're conducting several sessions open to the public, and currently we have 16 sessions on the calendar. Next slide, please. And that's the handouts I gave you if you want to take a look. Both English and Spanish will be available to our customers, and it'll help them walk their way through the process. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. So when you said we're almost at 400 downloaded of the apps, do we have any idea of what our total customer base, just looking back at the last presentation, 17,000 a month, 9,000 a month, it's roughly 30,000 trips a month. Out of that, would we say we have about 1,000 customers or 1,200?
Well, we transport approximately 1,200 a day between the two versions of us in-house and our customers.
So we're doing pretty good on our capture rate for downloading this app.
Yeah, I think so. It's really a couple.
It's been out 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and
2 weeks.
With this, okay, cool. Because I office right across from one of those dialysis centers, so I see our vans. They're beautiful. I see them every day. But I just want to make sure those customers know about this. And it sounds like you're already on top of it.
We're going to the centers. We've got them scheduled. We're training. We'll go back and do multiple trainings. We're going to make sure that everybody knows how to use the app. It's advantageous not only to the customer, but to Trinity Metro and the team. It'll help us reduce costs ultimately in the long run. So we have to go out and do it and make sure we do it right so that we get what we want. We want a good customer experience, always number one. And if we can have a little savings along the way, it'd be great.
Wayne, thank you so much. This is an absolute home run. Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Thank you, Wayne. Other questions for Wayne? Yeah, Paul?
Just one. Do you have a goal for number of app downloads that you're looking for?
I would like at least 50% of our customer base to be downloaded within the next 2 to 3 months.
Excellent.
And that should be the initial goal. And then, ultimately, we'd like to have the vast majority, but not everybody will want to do it. Some people like to continue to call and have that interaction, and we'll never totally get rid of that. But if we can get to 50% of our trips being worked through the app, that would be a huge home run for us.
Excellent. Thank you.
Rich?
Yeah, Wayne, you covered it, but I want to underscore something you said. We have a call center that's staffed and takes hundreds of thousands of calls a year to reserve trips. And that is a sort of a burden on individuals who have to make a phone call to reserve a ride. Mm-hmm. It's also a very inefficient way of doing business. So what we're doing here is evolving, giving people better options, reducing friction in the system for us, and being able to use the call center staff for important calls that require a human touch.
Absolutely.
And so some calls for, one thing we didn't get into here is that our customers have a variety of needs. Some have cognitive developmental disabilities, some have mobility impairments. And so for those that can, we're hoping that they will fully shift over to this app, creating the space and capacity for us to serve those who can't use the technology.
Absolutely. And we do provide subscriptions, trips to our customers, which allows them to book out in advance, months out in advance. And a caregiver can do that as well. And so really what's nice is the caregiver can look at the same information that potentially a person cannot look at and understand, but yet their caregiver can, whether it be somebody at home or whatever. And we also provide a service where they get notified too. So it makes it better for the overall customer experience, and we're really excited about it. Not many agencies across the United States or even in North America have this technology at this point in time. The board was so kind to approve this new process last year, and we're taking it and running with the ball, and sometimes falling down.
Great.
All right.
Great progress. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Well, you don't look like Chad Turner.
I know. Chad is sick. Good afternoon, Chairman and members of the board. I'm Tara Crawford. I'm the Assistant Vice President of Planning and Development. I'm not Chad. Chad is sick. So please bear with me, and I hope I can enlighten you, because transit planning is cool, as well as trains and buses. And so, Paul, I know we can probably talk. I have my AICP, so we can definitely talk planning later. But I have two information items. So if you go to page 26, I'll go to the first one, our General Planning Consultant, our GPC update. If I happen to say a lot of acronyms, just please stop me, and I'm going to make sure I try to explain as much as possible. So just doing the background, on November 28, 2022, the Trinity Metro Board of Directors approved the General Planning Consultant contract that permitted staff to complete negotiations and enter into a contract for a variety of planning activities that address ongoing and emerging issues related to planning, designing, constructing, financing, maintaining, and improving the Trinity Metro transportation system. There was some discussion about how the board would be informed on the status and the progress of tasks assigned to the GPC. In an effort to keep the board informed, the following is a brief overview of last month's progress. And so on the next page, you can see our open tasks. We have 12 right now. The two that we actually spent the most money on the last month was the Urban Rail, the number 6. And so if you heard in the news, we participated on the Urban Rail Committee that the mayor had. And so for that one, just for the new board members, that was where we were looking at the potential of rail within downtown Fort Worth. They actually happened to look at 3 different corridors. And so at the conclusion of that, we actually decided with the committee that we were going to continue moving forward and work with the City of Fort Worth and the North Texas Council of Governments, which is our regional metropolitan planning organization, aka MPO, to work on future planning, detailed data analysis to actually pick a corridor. So it's going to be happening later on once funding is secured, which hasn't been identified yet. The next one is going to be 18, the strategic action plan. And so I know a lot of the former board members actually had interviews last last year about this. For the new board members, their strategic action plan is actually a five-year strategic planning effort that actually identifies the goals, priorities, and the values of how Trinity Metro is going to grow over the next 5 years. So we're really excited about it. We're actually currently working with our consultant, so I know that I actually did a lot of the writing as well as with our consultant. They're doing the draft, we'll be presenting this to the executive leadership team in the next couple weeks, and then after they approve it, we'll be bringing it back to the board in the next couple months once it's finalized. So Chad will be here to present at that point, and so that's going to be really cool. That is what I have for that one. Any questions regarding the GPC? Awesome. So if you go to the next page, page 28, and actually have a PowerPoint in a second. No? Okay, thank you. So for the next one, we're talking about our spring 2025 service changes. For the background, Trinity Metro conducts service changes 2 times each year. The next service change will be on Sunday, April 13th, 2025. These changes will improve connectivity to our customers. 3 routes will have a minor adjustments to improve route timing and performance: Route 11, Route 16, and Route 55. There is no recommendation, as this is just an information item, and then we'll go into a quick slide regarding what we're doing. Oh, whoops. Okay, yes. Route 11, the North Beach Mercantile Center Station. And so for this route, we have our service span listed, as you can see. We have our frequencies every 30 minutes. The change, what we're doing, we're adjusting the schedule to every 15 to 45 minutes after the hour. So that means that it's going to be every 30 minutes. It's going to be at 8:15, 8:45, 9:15, 9:45, just to make it easier to better connect with our other routes. And this route, thank you. And so this route is interlined with Route 16, and interlined for the new board members, it just means that when the Route 11 finishes one trip, it then switches over and then goes on the rest of the trip on Route 16. So it does 2 routes with 1 bus to more efficiency. And so that's what interlining means. And so for this one, again, we have our service band. It's every 30 minutes, and we're just adjusting the schedule to coordinate with the Route 11. So again, as it's interlined, it will also leave on every 15 and 45 minutes as well. The next slide. Route 55, and so for this one, you can also see the service band, again, every 30 minutes. And so for this one, we adjusted the schedule for the southbound trips to provide additional time. So you see those numbers, those are time points, and so that's how we measure our on-time performance. And so what we did on the southbound trip, because that's where there is more directional traffic, we needed more time to make sure it was better on-time performance. And so we just added more time in some of those, between those numbers, the time points, to improve that on-time performance. And that's what we did for that one, which will be implemented on the next service change. And so that is it. So we actually had our public hearing earlier this month. And so it was well attended. We had a couple members from the community. And so at this point, that is all. Do I have any questions on that?
Questions, anybody?
Okay.
Thank you so much, Tara.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you're on the spot again for getting more folks on Easy Ride. You've been doing so well, don't stop.
Thank you so much. Hello, and welcome to our new board members. I am Nicole Adams, the Strategic Partnerships Manager. Thank you. We go through this every time, don't we? Am I not clicking here? Thank you. Okay, so the Easy Ride program continues to grow. We are now at 170 companies. We have 1,050 North Tarrant Chamber members that are participating currently in our program. Okay. We are so absolutely delighted to welcome some of our new partners. We have Amazon, New Heights Adult High School, Presbyterian Children's Home, Mansfield Mission Center, Chick-fil-A, and the Tile Shop. And we want to especially recognize the Tile Shop. They are headquartered in Minnesota, and we have been working with them, and they were here last week. And they wanted to use TexRail, so they had a big group of their conventioners coming down. So we made sure that we took, good care of them, and they enjoyed it. So I want to say thank you to them if anybody of them is watching. Next slide. So following the rollout of our streamlined low-cost fare structure, Easy Ride Partners did a really great job of embracing and purchasing tickets in bulk. This did result in lower purchases in November, but we did receive overwhelming feedback from the organizations that were thrilled to be able to connect more clients with the essential services while maintaining their cost effectiveness. January ticket sales did rebound strongly, which shows the continued success of our program. So this past year, Easy Ride did a wonderful job of really delivering on our results. Last year, our revenue increased by over $110,000. That was a 28% increase from the year before. Even with the variations in our ticket sales, we are committed to expanding our network of partnerships and engaging more with our participants to make sure that we are highlighting all of the wonderful services that Trinity Metro has. So in January, we had strong TCC ridership, as you can see to the graph on the left. And this was due to our continued engagement with the students and also to a testament of the work that Trinity Metro staff has been doing in educating the TCC students and their employees about the services from, we've done Transit 101s, we've done Envoy travel training, and we truly value our partnership with TCC, working together to ensure students have success to gain that essential transportation that they need to get to all of their campuses. And we are dedicated to providing excellent customer service and solutions. So, as you know, our City Hall has moved. So in light of that, we are still dedicating ourselves to make sure that we are informing their new employees on their transit benefits during their onboarding process. And we will soon extend that out to the over 400 plus MedStar recruits that they will be having, I think it's like next month. So we're making sure that we're getting the word out there. Excuse me. So Easy Ride's innovative partnerships, they are truly making a difference. And we wanted to ask our partners, how is Trinity Metro connecting people to life for your organization? Catholic Charities Fort Worth, whose mission is to relentlessly end poverty through holistic research-based solutions, shared their thoughts. The Trinity Metro Easy Ride partnership has a significant impact on our clients, and we deeply appreciate the opportunities it provides. Navigating the DFW Metroplex can be challenging, but Trinity Metro consistently seeks ways to make transportation more convenient and accessible for those who need it most. We are excited to see how Trinity Metro continues to grow and enhance its services to better support our communities. This statement is from Ariel Ross, Director of Client Navigations for Catholic Charities. This is just the first of many real stories that offer true perspective from our partners on how Trinity Metro is connecting people to life. That's all I got.
Questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Greg, bring us back down to earth.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Greg Jordan, Chief Financial Officer. It's good to see you today, and welcome new board members too. I'm going to take a little bit of time to give you some background information about the financial report that we're going to walk through, just so you kind of understand the purpose of it and how we put that together. I'd like to draw your attention to, I think it's page 42 in the book. So over the last, I guess last year or so, we've had a number of conversations around financial reporting, budgeting, and the way in which we're structured. This report is put together with the input from all the departments across the organization, and it takes into account seasonality, and it's a pretty conservative look forward. But this is designed to give us a year-end forecast so that we can have the opportunity to pivot midstream if we need to throughout the year. And it also goes into feeding the upcoming budget. So even though we're only 3 months into the fiscal year, we are already looking to FY26. Okay, so last year when we went through the budget, we had a few conversations around the way in which we are structured. Excluding federal funds, Trinity Metro revenues total $148 million, which is 90% of the $163 million that it takes to operate the program here, programs. Without those federal dollars, we'd find ourselves in a position where we'd have to eliminate roughly $15 million worth of operating costs to come back into parity. This is something that we've discussed in the past with the board. It's something that we remain mindful of, and it's something that we're working to close that gap as we develop the FY26 budget. Okay. So let's jump into the revenues. So again, we're only 3 months into the fiscal year. This is as of December. Operating revenues are budgeted at $225.5 million. We're currently projecting $223.4 million in revenue. This is $2.1 million below budget. Fort Worth sales tax is projected to end the year at $117 million. This is roughly $2 million below budget. North Richland Hills and Grapevine are projecting $14 million, roughly $300,000 above budget. Now, last week we received our February sales tax numbers. These numbers are not incorporated into the report that you have today because they weren't available at the time at which we put the report together. But I felt that they were relevant for today's meeting. North Richland Hills sales tax was up 23% year over year. Giving consideration to some of the comptroller adjustments, that would yield a 9% yield over year, which is really fantastic. Correspondingly, Grapevine was up 2% year over year. And this also is for the performance that we had in December. So this is going to capture the Christmas Capital of Texas activity that Grapevine has. 6.8 is also a high watermark for Grapevine. I don't believe that they've ever had that high of a sales tax number before, so that's pretty fantastic. Trinity Metro and Fort Worth were both down 1%. However, this is slightly better than what we saw last month. Last month, both organizations were down 3%. Nonetheless, we're projecting revenues to come fairly close to budget, but we have had two months back-to-back with negative growth, so we're going to keep a very close eye on this. The sales tax that we receive from all three of those cities represents about 89% of our total revenues that are agency-driven. So that's excluding the federal grant dollars that we get. Needless to say, their sales tax is a very elastic revenue source, so due to our high dependency on that and the elasticity of the sales tax, we remain really vigilant when we watch those numbers to make sure that they're trending in the right directions. Also within the revenues, grants are currently budgeted at $77.5 million. Currently, we have about $40 million that's in the pipeline with FTA. They have given us confidence that these funds will be received in the coming days. We also have about another $37 million that we're anticipating to come in prior to the close of the end of the fiscal year. However, it could be early in Q1 26, but we're working that as well. As of about 1 p.m. today, our portfolio yield was hovering right around 4.5% too. So, okay. So if we dig into the expenses a little bit, again, as of fiscal month 3, the expenditures are trending positively. We have a total operating budget of $163.7 million. We're currently projecting $157.6 million. This is roughly $6 million below budget. Fixed route operations year to date is 6.7. We spent 6.8 during the same time period last year. Early projections suggest year-end savings in services and fuel, and we're projecting a positive posture at year-end of about $500,000. We'll continue to track this closely, and the year-end projection for fixed route is $28.7 million. On-demand microtransit. This is what we have in the past referred to as zip zones. On-demand is on track to end the year with nearly $1 million in savings against the budget of $10.7 million. Year-to-date of $2.3 is similar to last year's performance. We are seeing the majority of savings in the area of purchased transportation. Microtransit is a function that we outsource to a company called VIA, and so we purchase those transportation services from them. The on-demand paratransit function has also been referred to in the past as our Access program. This is projecting nearly a $700,000 savings, primarily in personnel-related accounts. The Access budget is $12.9 million, and we're projecting year-end spend of $12.2. TRE year-to-date, we have spent $4.3 million. We spent $4.5 during the same time period last year, and we're currently projecting TRE to end the year with a budget expenses of $19.1 versus the total budget of $19.2, generating almost $100,000 in savings. TexRail year-to-date, we have spent $5.9 compared to $7.7 last year. We are currently projecting year-end expenditures of $33.1 million. This is against a budget of $33.7 million, generating a savings of $627,000. Bike share savings are projected at $105,000. This is the current year budget of $989,000 and projecting total spend of $883,000. This is savings are primarily due to projected expenses in the supplies category. General and administrative services. Now, this is the area that encompasses everything that I haven't told you about yet. So this is administration, it's finance, it's accounting, it's HR, it's marketing. It's all of those other activities that go to support the primary modes. Currently projecting currently budgeted at 57.1, and we are projecting year-end savings at 53.8. This generates a savings of $3.2 million. So, in summary, we're currently projecting year-end with $65.7 million net operating income. This is $4 million more favorable than what we had budgeted this year. Now, as we advance throughout the year, we'll continue to be mindful of the data as it becomes available, and we'll continue to report back to you appropriately. Cash flow is adequate to meet our immediate needs. Currently, we have $30 million in unrestricted revenues, or unrestricted cash, rather. That concludes my finance update. I'm happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Excuse me. I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
So what I'm looking at on both the TexRail operations and general administrative, I see that you're extremely favorable on insurance, and I've heard no one ever say that lately, just generally speaking, because insurance is going up. What exactly do we insure, and how is it we have a savings, just out of curiosity?
Well, we renewed our property and casualty insurance in December, I believe, and so we budgeted a little bit high on that. We were able to achieve some savings there on the rail side, so that's
Do we change coverages at all?
We changed the limitations on it, so we took on a little bit more risk, but we ended up capturing some significant savings.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Any other questions while you got Greg hostage here? What's going to happen?
The crystal ball. That is the $64,000 question. Well, I think it's fair to say that we're keeping a very, very, very close eye on everything. I'm not sure that I want to opine over projections right now in terms of Rich.
I'll wade into it, maybe just a toe deep. We, I think, from this presentation, you gathered that there's a substantial participation of the federal government in the form of what we call formula funds. And those funds come to the region and are allocated based on population ridership statistics. So what happens is there's a pool of money based on our population in the DFW area, the number of transit rides, and then DART in Dallas, DCTA in Denton County, and Trinity Metro here get an apportionment of those funds. Those funds are currently used in part to support ongoing operating and maintenance expenses. So if those funds were to go away, we would find ourselves in a position of not having enough to right, cover ongoing operations. I'm going to put a little positive note on that. As of today, all other transit systems, and we're talking to others in Texas and around the country, those funds are still flowing. So there's been no change in that funding outlook at the moment, and so we're reasonably optimistic that will continue, and we'll keep you posted. Is that fair?
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Okay.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Greg. Well, let's talk about audits.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Greg Jordan, Chief Financial Officer. We have concluded the FY24 operating budget. And before I introduce our friends from Weaver, I'd like to take a second to just comment that no audit gets completed without heavy participation from the organization, and this was no different. I also want to point out two people on my team that did a fantastic job. We were missing some leadership in accounting, just due to circumstances, and Kim Aaron, our accounting manager, stepped up along with Angie Summit. Angie. And without these two individuals, I just don't know that we would have made it. So I have a debt of gratitude to them both. And now I'd like to introduce our friends from Weaver. Jackie Gonzalez is the partner over this audit, and Stephanie Wilson is the director. And they have some words for you, too. Jackie.
No one has said numbers are fun yet, so those are cool.
Think about it.
Thank you so much for having us here this afternoon. We're happy to share the results of the audit with you. Before I begin, I would like to echo what Greg said. I mean, it is a tremendous undertaking to have an audit occur while you're trying to get your regular job done, and then you experience turnover, and we ask a lot of questions you may not know the answer to. So we appreciate everyone for really digging in and getting through this and delivering timely. We do have a presentation, so I'll dig right into that. That would be the first step, wouldn't it? I'm Jackie Gonzalez. I serve as your engagement partner. I also serve in our leadership for our public sector with the firm. I have Stephanie Wilson with me today. She's a director in our public service industry group as well. And then in addition to us, we also had Sam Keitzer serve as the senior associate on the engagement. A little bit about our process. We do conduct our audit in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards, as well as generally accepted government auditing standards. In addition to our financial statement audit, we do perform a single audit, or those audit of your federal awards in accordance with the uniform guidance. Throughout the course of our audit, we also test compliance with those laws, regulations, contracts, and grant agreements, and test specifically for the Public Funds Investment Act, and we had no exceptions to that testing throughout the course of our procedures. We do perform a risk-based audit. So throughout our planning, we try to understand what has gone on throughout the year and direct our procedures in that way. So when we look at where specific risk or potential fraud risk may lie, those specific things that pop out to us relate to your federal grant revenue and those related expenses, as well as the revenue recognition related to your fair revenue and sales tax revenue. As it relates to fraud risk, I will say these are just inherent in any organization. Throughout the course of our testing, we did not find anything that we didn't expect to see or that was outside of those expectations. But we do test and design responses related to misappropriation of assets, management override of control, and revenue recognition. Here's a summary of our financial statement audit. So we have issued an unmodified opinion, or a clean opinion, if you will. That's the highest level of assurance that we as your independent auditors can provide. Throughout the course of our testing, we also review internal controls over financial reporting, and are happy to report there were no material weaknesses. We did have one significant deficiency, and we noted no instances of material noncompliance related to your financial statements. As I mentioned, we do perform the audit over your federal awards as well. You'll see down there in the bottom right-hand corner that our major program, or that program that we tested, was your federal transit cluster. Again, we have issued an unmodified or clean opinion over compliance for that program, and you do qualify as a low-risk auditee. There were no material weaknesses over internal controls related specifically to compliance. We had one significant deficiency and one compliance issue related specifically to that grant. Now to go over some financial highlights here. You'll see that your total assets moved about $2.9 million, so about $1.2 billion in each year, 2024 and 2023. Total liabilities went from $49.7 million to $69.7 million year over year, which brought you to a total net position at the end of 2024 of $1.1 billion as compared to $1.15 in the previous year. If we look at the reasons for those changes, we'll see a decrease, as I mentioned, in those total assets of $2.9 million, largely related to a decrease in receivables related specifically to grant revenue year over year. And then that was offset by an increase in your capital assets related to those purchases and additions that we saw. As it relates to the liabilities and the increase we saw there of just over $20 million, most of that is in accounts payable. You can see there's a change of $15.9 million, and that's due to those capital asset additions that we added, which increased the liabilities there near the end of the year. There was also an increase in your deferred inflows of $4.8 million due to the terms of those contracts. When we look at your statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position, you'll see that we ended 2024 with just over $8.9 million in operating revenue as compared to $9.1 in the previous year. Operating expenses came in at $197.3 as compared to $182.9 in 2023. Non-operating revenues ended 2024 at $142.1 million as compared to $181.8. And that leaves us with grants for capital improvement of $23.2 as compared to $8.6. That brought us to a total change in net position for 2024 of a negative $23 million as compared to a positive $16.68 in the previous year. When we look at the reasons for those changes in the overall decrease in your change in net position, there was a decrease in the operating assistance grants and preventative maintenance reimbursements of $47.3, which really drove the bulk of that, and that's mainly related to timing year over year. An increase in grants for those capital improvements of $14.5 million, increase in your sales tax and contributions from partners, and then an operating expense increase of $14.4, mainly related to salaries and those related benefits. I'll turn it over to you for any questions. Again, want to express our thanks for another successful year on the audit for allowing us to serve as your auditor. So happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much.
Great,
We
thank
don't
you.
have any more questions. Thank you. We have an action item. Lynn? Oh, there you are.
Good afternoon. I'm Glenn Miller, Director of Marketing, and I'm here to garner your support for Board Action Item BA 2025-24 for printing services. Trinity Metro has an ongoing need for a printing vendor to help us print route schedules, system maps, shelter signs, large format posters, stationery items including letterhead, business cards, envelopes, and all kinds of marketing materials. We have recently, our current vendor has, the term expires near the end of April with one option to renew. We've opted not to renew that in favor of issuing a RFP to gauge the availability of other vendors that might provide an improved service for us. We launched that RFP in mid-December. There were 3 respondents, and after a final evaluation, Redstone Visual was determined to be the highest ranking proposer, and our goal for the project to be awarded to Redstone. It is our recommendation that the Trinity Metro's Board of Directors authorize the President and CEO to enter into a 2-year indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity agreement with 3 one-year renewal options with Redstone Visual for printing services for an annual amount not to exceed $440,000 and a total amount for 5 years not to exceed $2.2 million. Any questions?
Questions? Yeah, Ben?
So real quick, on Redstone, are they local? Where are they based out of?
They are based in Fort Worth and have already done some work for us. Particularly, they printed the new shelter panels for the Trinity Metro bike docking stations.
Oh, those are awesome. And then also, does this give us a fixed or a contracted rate for all of their different hard goods they can print, or just specific ones that you requested within the RFP?
It's everything that we print on a routine basis. So we've got a rate for route schedules, system maps, et cetera. There will be some things that they'll need to provide estimates for that aren't or one-off.
And does our contract provide any type of discount for the on-demand one-off type things where we're guaranteed a little bit of love?
They've been very fair with us so far.
Okay.
And so I don't foresee any issues there. In fact, they provided rates in the contract for single prints and then discounts for volume prints as well.
Fantastic. And this is, you said promotional products, postcards, flyers, all the way up to, I'm assuming, large format and the full
vehicle decals, about anything that we print will run through this vendor. And they also have the option of we can include promotional premiums through this vendor through a third party. But
so
built
things
into
like
one
our
contract.
partnership with Near Southside and things like that, they can help with that printing. And
absolutely.
Perfect. I only get nerdier after that, so thank you for my question.
You're all good.
Other questions?
One question.
Yes, sir.
Did the incumbent provider also respond to the solicitation?
They did not.
They did not? Okay. And without getting into any detail on the performance of the incumbent, was the RFP written specifically to avoid any issues that you might have had with their performance?
The biggest issue with the current provider is that they closed down their Fort Worth location and gave us no notice. So we're kind of strapped, and they're still able to provide service, but they're not from a local plant.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Sure. Take that. Okay.
Thank you.
Do you have
yes, sir.
Do you have another question?
No.
Oh, okay.
Thanks. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion and a second to approve this item. So what's the item number?
BA
2025-24. We have a motion to approve that item number. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. We have a final matter. Yes. Greg. Go.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Greg Jordan, Chief Financial Officer. I am here seeking your approval for a reimbursement resolution. For those of you that have served on or currently serve on city councils, you might be familiar with this. This is a mechanism that's used in advance of any issuance of public debt so that it gets the clock ticking so that you can capture your capital expenses from a date and time moving forward. It also gives us the ability to capture expenses that have occurred 60 days in the rearview mirror. So the item before you is a reimbursement resolution so that we have the opportunity to issue future contractual obligations for the purpose of commuter rail. Specifically, this would be limited to bridges, yard, track, and locomotives. Now, statutorily, we can only go out 5 years with any sort of debt mechanism. However, we can go out to 25 years on rolling stock. We have an investment on TRE locomotives that we'd like to be able to capture in this so that we can reimburse ourselves for these capital dollars that we're spending up front. Currently, there's $18 million of investment going into the TRE locomotives that we have coming. To date, we've spent about $5 million, so we'd be looking to reimburse ourselves for as much as $13 million of that, which we could spread out to 25 years. We can also use this as a mechanism to help spread out the cost of additional commuter rail expenses such as track, maintenance facilities, communications, bridges, and stations and the like. So with that, I'll pause and answer any questions that the board may have.
Sure. Rich?
Great job. I'm going to go back to my earlier comment, and maybe you could shed some further light on it.
Sure.
Which is that the structure, the financial plan for this organization is really a pay-go organization where revenues come in and revenues go out pretty quickly to support day-to-day. So we I guess would you shed a little more light on that in terms of our capital capacity?
Sure. We have a couple $100 million worth of capital needs in front of us. Many of these capital projects, we spend our dollar first, and then typically and historically, it only takes about a week to get reimbursed from the federal government. So it's a very fast churn. Some of these things, like locomotives, the costs are substantial and the commitment is already there. We're spending the money. If we find ourselves in a position where federal funds slow or even cease, this gives us the ability to not have to stress as much. As I told Rich earlier, this is something that's great to have and not need it, but you don't want to need it and not have it. And so there is a certain defensive mechanism with this or position with this. We, as Rich said, we do not have any debt on the books. We are a pay-go system, but this is a very fast churn of our money in federal dollars. And so if we find ourselves in a position where, we've expended the remaining $13 million on those TRE chargers, we want to be able to make sure that we've got that coming back or have a way where we can still breathe comfortably and not have too much anxiety over it. So this is, now, I would also go back to say that, major public capital programs typically have major debt behind them. And we don't operate that way typically and normally, but I feel that this is just a prudent mechanism to protect the agency if or when we find ourselves in a more stressful climate.
Okay. Any comments?
Need a motion?
Yeah.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and second to approve this resolution in front of us, the statement expressing official intent to reimburse costs of capital expenditures. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. At this time, I'd like to ask Rich to give the President's report.
Okay, good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Chair, board members, Trinity Metro staff, and members of the public. I want to start with a word of thanks to our new and continuing board members. Serving on a board, a public board especially, is an important public service. These are time-intensive roles for already very busy individuals, and we count on our board members for unique perspectives, the community relationships, the business experience, and I think the board truly does complement the operational technical know-how of the team in this room. So thank you for that. We're grateful for that input and the support of our board to develop a top-notch transit system that will amplify our growing economy and improve our quality of life. Let me just take for a moment our decision to build TexRail a decade ago. Trinity Metro TexRail links the world's, again, I can't believe it, but the world's third busiest airport to downtown Fort Worth, just steps from the Texas A&M Innovation District, where a $350 million campus is taking shape. Now couple that with the $700 million expansion of the Fort Worth Convention Center. That will bring larger national and international events and millions of visitors to Fort Worth over many years, and many of them coming by train. In total, that's over $1 billion in public funds and private equity being invested in our future. And these investments, together with Trinity Metro TexRail, are creating an economic flywheel that will spin off enormous economic benefits for decades to come. In fact, Trinity Metro TexRail has provided more than 3 million passenger trips even before this new development has come online. And we've been calling this internally the Trinity Metro effect. So the Trinity Metro effect is showing up not only in downtown Fort Worth, but other neighborhoods and communities. Our economic impact study last year showed a 3-to-1 return on investment. So for every $3 we invest, for every $1 we invest, we see $3 of return, and that return is every year. These are numbers, but I also wanted to see firsthand how these investments are benefiting individual businesses. So I spent a day with 8 business owners in Grapevine, as well as board member Isaac Banning and former board member and Grapevine City Councilman Paul Slechta. I met with Greg Gifford and Jason Beck of New City Capital Partners, developers who are constructing luxury brownstone homes across the street from the much-acclaimed Vin Hotel. The 4-story homes, and I got to spend an hour there with them learning about their business, The 4-story homes feature incredible amenities, including private elevators and a rooftop entertainment space with panoramic views. These beautiful new homes start at $1.3 million and have already sold before the homes were completed. As the buyers were clamoring for downtown living, just steps from the Trinity Metro TexRail and minutes to DFW Airport. What was exciting about that project is they told me their plans for Phase 2, and we heard not only plans for Phase 2 there, we heard about the next wave of development coming next to the Vin Hotel, which will feature another hotel equivalent to the Vin. And so these projects are going to be breaking ground in the coming months. I also interviewed numerous restaurateurs who cited extraordinary business impacts of Trinity Metro TexRail. They spoke of how business revenue grew briskly with the opening of Trinity Metro TexRail in 2019. Dan Weinberger's sandwich shop by the same name saw a doubling of revenue and touts Trinity Metro TexRail as an important catalyst behind his success. He mentioned the throngs of visitors who find their way from the train station each day. I spoke with Fabien Gori of Chez Fabien a few blocks further along Main Street. He spoke enthusiastically about the international visitors, many from Australia, who use Trinity Metro TexRail to visit his restaurant and bakery on their long layovers at DFW Airport. Fabien was an early pioneer shop owner on Main Street, and his business truly took off once Trinity Metro TexRail came to town. These and other conversations with local business owners will be featured in a YouTube series in the coming weeks. I encourage you to watch to see firsthand the impact Trinity Metro is having for our cities, residents, and businesses. I could go on, but the message is clear. Trinity Metro is invested in this region, and there is much untapped opportunity ahead. We will continue to invest and innovate. That's a core value, by the way, innovate, to ensure Fort Worth and Tarrant County has the transit system it deserves. We as a team look forward to working with all of you to make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Today it was announced that the Raymond Group is going to build a 134-unit hotel next to our TNP terminal on Main Street. So I chide the city often about not being ready for transit-oriented development, but even if they're not ready to plan it, it's coming because it's the second a project that the Raymond Group out of Wisconsin has built for transit-oriented development. So the developers are figuring this out pretty quickly, that it's a great place to be and make money. This comment I'd like to make is the custom. Historically, I would appoint a committee, a nominating committee, to talk about the officers and make recommendations to this board. And I'd like to ask Ben, as being a longstanding member, Isaac, and Teresa Ayala as the chair historically, to just make recommendations. And please understand, if you would like to be part of the leadership structure as an officer, call Teresa. She's very reasonable and thoughtful, and so is Ben and Isaac. Give them a call. Don't be bashful. I don't think it hurts anybody's feelings to let them know that you'd like to be to take a more active position. I would also like to express my gratitude for each of our board members and the Trinity Metro team. The thoughtful strategic approach continues to guide us forward during an important time. While discussing on the federal level regarding transportation funding may seem very concerning, I'm confident that in our team's ability to assess opportunities and plan for the future with wisdom and care, I think the resolution that we just passed is a rock-solid decision just to prepare for the future. The vision of our board remains as ambitious as ever, and we are so grateful to have the best leaders in place because we know we have the best at the helm. As I've said before, it's lightning in a bottle. The steady, forward-looking approach ensures that Trinity Metro is not just meeting the needs of today, but also preparing for tomorrow's opportunity. And our system growth goals remain bold and clear. 1, transforming our bus system with smart planning and exciting branding that generates new ridership every day. Number 2, advancing the TexRail extension, expanding regional connectivity for our growing population into the hospital district and assessing over 50,000 jobs. 3, driving plans forward for an urban rail system that will transform mobility and connect our communities. And number 4, defining and amplifying our economic impact. I'm confident that with the community support, we can accomplish each of these goals. Together, we will continue building a transit system that serves Fort Worth and Tarrant County for generations to come. Thank you, and if there's no further business to come before the board, we are adjourned.